All right, good evening, guys, and welcome to our revision. This is our continuation of a revision we started on Saturday. Right, most of the work was done on Saturday, but we focused mainly on the VBA. Right, today I just want to look at a section of data analytics as well as dashboard. But dashboard, guys, I'm not going to look at dashboard in detail. We did a class where we did dashboard in detail. Please, you have to go back to that recording where we did dashboard in detail. I'm just going to lay out the things to focus on and basically in dashboard. But in data analytics, I also want us to work on the regression analysis because I believe that one will come. Even on the exam format that was given to us, they even did say that we must focus on the regression analysis and that activity 5.7. So I'm also going to focus on that. We're going to do it 55.7 in your is it unit 5? All right. So that's what we'll do today. But as like I said, for dashboards, you are going to dashboards, we are going to just go through it. We did a comprehensive class, so you're going to look at that recording where dashboards was done. With that being said, I think I should start with the dashboard so that we can then focus on data analysis. All right, because our main focus is on data analysis today. Right. Even though we did a lot in data analysis, I just wanted to touch on the aspect of regression. I believe it's definitely coming on the exam. Okay. So let us start. We're going to start with dashboards. So we continue with our summary. These summaries are just there to just remind us of, the things we have already learned, and others have not started studying, I believe so, at least to give you an idea when you're studying, then you understand, okay, this is what I'm studying and this is what it's all about. So I'm going to start with that dashboard before I do data analysis. All right, so let's start with dashboards. One thing with dashboards, guys, you are creating it. Okay. So you'll be in a situation where you have to create a dashboard. I don't know how that will be possible in the exam because it may take time. Or maybe they will just start the dashboard or maybe give you an idea of how it is already, like what we did in the assignment assessment. They already showed us the result, the end result. We just had to work our way to the end results using applying the functions, Excel functions, and also charts, and as well as other aspects that we're going to talk about now. All right. So first thing first, you need to understand what is a dashboard. Guys, the best way to know a dashboard is when you go to the accounting systems, any systems, not just accounting system. When you go to a website, but mostly accounting systems, all right? For example, Sage, QuickBooks, all those websites that you know, right? Normally what it happens is in the like the very first screen you see is normally your dashboard. So that's where they will show like a summary of all the results that is happening in your transactions, the summary. So they'll show the summary. That's the dashboard. It's the very first thing you see when you go to an accounting system. All right. So they always tell you, okay, the sales, they'll show you the sales, the customers, the suppliers, the banking, they'll show you everything. They put it in summary, right? It shows like in a graphical way, right? That's a dashboard. I'm sure all of us have seen a dashboard like that before somewhere. All right. So what is it? A dashboard is a visual, all right? It's a visual interface that provides, right? It has to be visual. Okay. Visual interface that provides at a glance view into key measures. Very important. Key measures. So it shouldn't just be anything. We're not just doing a dump of everything that we have in the business. We want to give the key measures. What are the key things that affect the business? If we are running an operation, of course, we're expecting to make a profit. All right. So profit, what drives profit? What makes my profit? So I have to now break it down, my income and my expenses. All right. So that's how it is. And then also we also look at the operations, the other aspect of it as well. Like how are your customers paying? Are you paying your suppliers on time? Things like that. No, it depends on what they want to see, but it has to be the key measures really that drives the business. All right. Okay. Also, these measures must be relevant. All right. The measures is relevant to a particular objective, objective, or business process. Objective or business process. All right, so that is what a dashboard is. Like I said, and then you're gonna have to, you will have to then create something like that. So they'll give you information of the clients, all right? They give you everything. You are most of our work start with an Excel. You'll be given an Excel like a data set. Okay, like they did even say that you're gonna be given 2 data sets, right? Those data sets, I believe one has to do with data analysis, dashboards, and the other one VBA. All right. So it's going to be like that. They will give you the information already that the company has. Now you are making sense of the information. Remember, dashboard is also a topic under data analysis. You're basically analyzing the information that is given. Where you have big data, but you're making sense of the big data. Instead of me showing everything like this, I can just show you guys a visual representation of everything that is in the business. All right. So that's what dashboard is all about. Okay. Now, there are 3 attributes that a dashboard comes with. All right. So I'm just going to do this. 3 attributes. This attribute is what you're looking for in a dashboard. Right. Attributes number 1. Okay. It has to be graphically presented. All right. So data are graphically displayed. Data are graphically displayed. Okay, so it has to be graphically displayed. All right. I can use charts. I can use pivot table. I can use different kind of tables, like different things, but it has to be graphically displayed. All right. Only relevant data are displayed. Only relevant data. Only. So that's why you have to read the scenario very well and know what is the problem. What is their problem? Because you only want what is relevant. Only relevant data are displayed. Right. And then the third attribute is that it has to contain predefined conclusion. Contains predefined conclusion. Now with dashboards, right? Dashboard is there to simplify matters for us, for decision makers, for managers, and every other users of dashboard. It's there to simplify matters for them. So you cannot give us a dashboard that we have to sit back and start calculating. All right? That is already wrong. It's already wrong. We cannot have a dashboard where we have to start calculating. We shouldn't be calculating. We shouldn't be analyzing further. It should be in a way that when I see the information, I should understand the information straight and make a decision straight already. So it already gives me that I should already be in a conclusion state. Now, I cannot have a dashboard where I have to sit and start understanding the dashboard and start breaking it down and start analyzing it. Then it's not a dashboard. That's not the point of a dashboard. It's not even living its purpose. Okay, that's what it means. So these are the 3 attributes that must be in your dashboard. So we're looking to see, we said it's visual, right? It has to be a visual interface, right? So we're looking for graphical things, but this does not include pictures. Anyways, I'm gonna get there. It's not mean that you have to start putting pictures of people or anything like that. By visually, we want to see graphs. We want to see graphs. We want to see patterns. All right, things like that. You want to see charts, things like that. All right. And remember, it's only for relevant data. So it's not everything in the business that must go in your dashboard. No, only relevance. Okay. So those are the 3 attributes. So when one is doing a dashboard, that is what is expected of you. Okay. Then there are a design process that you must follow as well. There's a design process that you must follow when you are doing a dashboard. I'm just going to run through it. Design process. Okay. Right. Number 1, you have to define the message. So when you're doing your dashboard, you must first define the message. What is the message on this dashboard? All right. So you're going to have to define the message. And after you have defined the message, so understand what is it that we want to achieve. At the end of the day, what are we achieving? Why am I doing this dashboard? To achieve what? What's the conclusion? Right. So you define the message. Number 2, you establish the audience to use the dashboard. You establish the audience to use the dashboard. Right. Then After you have established who is using this, it's very important so that you can give them exactly what they need. If this is management that needs the dashboard, then of course management needs to make decisions. So they need to know how the business is performing, how the business performed last year compared to this year, be able to make decision. All right. Maybe how the sales were doing, did our sales increase? If we had marketing, did it increase our sales? Or was it just a waste of money? Things like that. All right. So already once I know that my audience is my managers and they need to make decisions for the running of the business, then I know that I have to give them the right information in my dashboard. All right. Then number 3, you need to define the performance measures. Define the performance measures. And the scenario will guide you guys. It will guide you. It will guide you to tell you this is what we want. I'm sure you guys saw that in the assessment, was it assessment 3? In the assessment 3. So they were telling this is what we want to achieve. This is what we want in the dashboard. We want to see this and that. Even when they have sales, they say they're selling 5 different products. They may not want all the 5 different products. They may say we only want an analysis of product A and product Z only. So you have to just follow with that one. You shouldn't worry about that. All right, the scenario will direct you. So you need to define your performance measures. What are you actually going to show? Just because we're talking about profit doesn't mean you have to show profit of everything. What if we're selling 10 products? Do we want the profit of everything? All right. What if we don't want cost? We just want the revenue. We just want to make our decision based on revenue. So all of those things, pay attention to them. Okay. Then after defining the performance measures, we are going to list the required data sources. You list the required data sources. Where do I get my data from? So list all the sources possible, that way you can get your data from. Okay, then you're going to define dimensions and filters. Define dimensions and filters. All right, most of this is where your functions will come in now. Your functions and interactive controls will come in. Interactive controls. Okay, so you have to, of course, you're going to filter information, all right, because your dashboard shouldn't be too long. So some information will have to be cut out. Some information will have to be filtered until we get to the main information, the relevant one. Okay, then okay, then you're going to determine if you need a drill down. So determine the need for drill down details. Determine the need for a drill down details. What does this mean? For example, if I'm selling 20 products, okay. Now, if I have to bring information of all the 20 products there, it may just become too much and the dashboard will have too much information. So what can I do? I can use a drill down information by using interactive control, right? You can use any of the interactive control, for example, list box, for example, scroll bar and spin button, which we're going to get to. All right, I can use any of that to say now I have to just choose. So it can be there. I can have, for example, a list box that doesn't show everything. Maybe it shows the first 5, but all I have to do is to scroll down and then get what I'm looking for. Or maybe press a button to give me all the others. So I can then choose the product that I want to show information for. Okay, for example, if I'm selling different kind of fruits and I want information only for banana. So I should be able to click somewhere then so that I can select banana and the only information I see is banana. All right. But if I decide, no, I want information of papaya. So I should be able to just change the banana to papaya and it gives me every other information. So there are hidden information. It's not all at your face, but I can be able to choose somewhere, press somewhere, so that it changes the options from banana to papaya, from banana to mango, from banana to strawberry. And then it begins to show me, when I go to strawberry, now it shows me the sales that strawberry performed last year versus this year, how much profit they made, how much cost they made, every other thing around strawberry, but they're hiding. The information only appears when I select it. Okay, so that is where again the interactive controls play seriously in here. Okay, and then lastly, in terms of the process, you have to establish the update schedule. Establish the update schedule. How often are you going to be updating? But we prefer this to be automatic, né? Like it should just be updating automatic. That is why we bring in interactive controls, we bring in functions that will automate, or even VBA, the same VBA that we're talking about. We bring it in because we want it to be automated so that it is always up to date. The information should always be up to date, all right? It's very important so that the information can be reliable. Imagine if I come there, see a dashboard that is giving me an information that was updated 5 days ago. Can I even trust that dashboard? Can I even use it? Because if it was updated 5 days ago, now 5 days information is a whole lot of information for us to just ignore. You see, so the dashboard has to be up to date. It has to be, we have to make it in a way that it is automated, that every time new information comes into the data system, it takes the information and changes whatever we have here automatically. That is why functions and interactive controls are playing. All right, so these are your design process. That is how you design a dashboard. Guys, the good thing about AIN3701 is that it's not only for you to write an exam right now, it is also for you to practice out there in your business, guys. You can create your dashboard for your business. You know, if you're running a small business, guys, you're keeping your transactions on your Excel spreadsheet or something like that, then you just automate everything using all these functions that we're learning, using VBA, using interactive control. I can do all of that and I can create a dashboard for myself following this design process and following the best practices. I can design a dashboard for myself. How cool is that? All right. So that is it. Even at workplace, you will understand things better. And you can even at work suggest to create a dashboard. If you sit on this thing and practice and practice and practice, you can become a master. So it is actually a skill, guys. This is a skill. It's not just a topic that you're studying for an exam. It is a whole skill. I understand maybe there's no time to give it like, your best because of other modules and the time we're writing exams and everything. But when you get time, even during the holiday, try to get through some of these topics. They're very, very important. Like your VBA, make sure you understand your VBA. Make sure you understand data analysis and dashboards. Guys, these are skills that you will need in corporate world. You will need these skills. Anyways, let me continue. So these are the design process. This one we're still defining. Remember what you said, we're trying to redefining what the dashboard is, and we talked about the attribute that are expected to be in the dashboard. This is the design process, how you should design your dashboard. All right, then the next thing is the best practices. Before we look at the Excel functions and the interactive controls, the best practices. Dashboard has best practices that you should consider when you're busy doing this design process that we looked at. So while you're busy with this design process we looked at, you also have to consider using dashboards best practices. Okay, consider using dashboard best practices. So let's go. I'll just write best practices. So this is what they will generally advise or what we generally expect to see in a dashboard. Number one. Or basically you can say these are your do's and don'ts. Yeah, we can call it like that as well. Okay, now in a dashboard, we do not want to see fancy formatting. There must be no fancy formatting. Right, what do we mean by fancy formatting? Okay, I did say in the beginning there should be no pictures. No pictures, absolutely none, except, let me write this to save space. There must be no pictures except company logo. Except the company logo. All right, that's it. If it's not a company logo, no other picture should go there. So don't try to decorate it, especially the girls. I know girls like decorating things. You want it to look beautiful in your own eyes. It shouldn't be like that. There mustn't be too much happening in your dashboard because you want to pay attention to the information that is important. So we don't want to be seeing unnecessary pictures, unnecessary patterns, and all of that. We do not want to see that. Okay. Also avoid bright colors. Avoid bright colors. Okay, it must not be too colorful or background fields. Background fields. Imagine a dashboard that has like a purple color. The whole dashboard is purple. All right, guys, all these things are destructive. Yeah, we want the information. We want to get the information. We want to get straight to the information. We don't want any unnecessary things distracting us away from the main thing. Okay. Also, do not put no fancy effects. No fancy effects. Like, for example, gradient or patterns. Okay, so avoid any of that. Just try to be as simple as possible, right? The simpler, the better. Okay, so that's the first thing. Just avoid fancy formatting. Skip unnecessary chart junk. Skip unnecessary charts junk. So even when I'm doing a charts, especially when you go to Excel and you search a charts, what normally happens is the chart will come in a lot of things. Now you have to just keep removing anything that is not important. Okay, any information that is not important or that just makes too much information. Remember, we want to get straight to the point. We don't want to read a lot. For example, things like your maybe title. Sometimes it's not needed. If I can already see that this is sales and this is how much the sales is. Or if I can see, for example, I'm selling like the fruits, like I said. If I can see the name of the fruits and the amounts, that's it. I don't need any other thing in that graph. Right? If it's clear that maybe under every maybe let's say it's bar charts. Inside the bar chart, I can see the number of the sales of the fruit, and then underneath I can see the name of the fruit. That's it. That's enough. So don't go there try to label, give it a title, give it many different things. We don't want all of that. So just try to cut it down so that it only gives what is necessary. That's for charts. All right. Then number 3, best practices. So limit your dashboard to one viewable page or screen. This is very important. Let me even write an NB here. Your dashboard should not be more than one page. Not more than one page or screen. Okay. It should not be. It should not be more than one. So the moment you're getting into the second page, you are doing something wrong. That means you come back and scat out some information, filter. Remember, it talked about filter and dimensions here. Where was that? Here, it talks about filter and dimensions. Once you see that, come back and cut information. The things that you are showing that are not necessary. All right, so it should not be more than one page. It should be exactly one page. Your dashboard should fit into one page. So if the information is too much, that is why we said consider creating a drill down. Remember here, consider creating a drill down. Like I said, imagine if you have 10 fruit, and from that 10 fruit, I want to compare it to last year. I want to compare it to budget. I want to see the sales for all of them per week, or maybe a weekly sales or monthly sales for each and every fruit. It may become too much. So consider using drill down functions. Use the interactive controls. That is why they are there. All right, to try to bring the information down so that what I present to you, you can only see one fruit information at a time. If you want the next fruit, just go down the drill down and choose the next fruit you want, and you get your information. So I'm hiding information behind information. Information is being hidden behind information. That's how you do it. So you have to cut it down so that it comes back to one page. All right, so that's very important. Your dashboard should never be above one page. All right, then number 4 best practice is that you use layout and placements. Use layouts and placements to draw focus. All right, so this is where, like, for example, you could use one color and then it's fading. Okay, for example, if you can say the best months, the best month that we sold, maybe it was in January we sold well, and then February, and then January, February it went down, March it went down, right? So if I decide to use maybe 3 months to show that, I can use the first one can be maybe the same color was brighter, then the next month it became a little bit darker, and then the other one became dark. All right, it's losing its color, like it's fading. Yes, the color is fading. Let me not say dark. The color is fading. So it was brighter, it's fading, it's fading. So I could use that, could also indicate that this was good and this is bad. All right. So that's what to draw focus. You can use something like that to draw focus. So that when people see your chart, they'll be able to see that, okay, these colors are saying something. Why is this bright and why is this one fading? That's something in it. When I look at it, then I'll be able to see, oh, it's faded because this was a poor performing month. Okay, so that's, you can use that. That is one strategy you can also use to communicate your information in your dashboard. All right. Number 5, best practice is you have to format your numbers effectively. Format numbers effectively. Right. So by formatting numbers effectively, be careful that your numbers don't look like you're just throwing in a lot of things, because numbers can also be like we're just throwing things. Okay, so you have to be careful with that. For thousands, please use separators. Use commas as a separator. Use commas as 1,000 separator. Okay, so every time 1,000 passes, every time three numbers pass it, we put a comma. It's very clean. That way, a person can be able to see the information very well. Remember, it is one page. And I want to slot in all the information that I have, all the number in that one page. So I have to, it has to be clear. Okay, so you use like 1,000 separators, so we're able to read properly. Okay, avoid using decimals. Avoid using decimals. Okay, unless required. Right, what do I mean? Just show us the number, all right? So if it was 10 rand 50 cents, which you can just say 11 now. We can round it off. Unless if they really want to see it, because when there's too many commas and there's too many numbers, it becomes just too much to see. Okay, so it has to be presented well so that we're able to see also and understand information. It mustn't just be like there's a whole lot of things to see. All right, so we're trying to avoid that. Remember, it is a visual presentation, and every other thing matters. So just cut out decimals if possible and just round them off. Okay. Also avoid using currency. Avoid using currency unless also required. If you're required, then you use it. Avoid using currency like rand, putting a rand before the number. Just put the number there. All right, just put the number there. Unless if maybe we are doing businesses also in other countries and we just want to present how it was, and then it's fine. But if we know that we are in South Africa and that is the currency we use here, so there's no need for us to go and start putting rand. You can just put the number the way it is so that it's clean and clear. Also, try to break down numbers. It must not look too long. If the numbers are too long, it may also become too much for us to see. So what you can do is to break down numbers. Break down large numbers to maybe K or M. Like 1,000, I'll just say 1K or 10K. And if it's a million, I'll just say 10M. All right, this just breaks the number down. It is easy, clear, clean to see, and it does not, depress us. And people are living with a lot of depression, guys. So let's try and make life easy. Right? When you put too many numbers, if you're like, what is happening here? So sometimes just break it down, in millions. So we can just say 100 million, okay, 100M or 100K. This is better that way. All right. And then the last one you're going to look at is also how you use your titles and labels. Titles and labels. Okay, so use your titles and labels effectively. Titles and labels effectively. Okay, so don't just go there and writing a lot of things. I think I spoke about this with charts. Sometimes we don't even need a title, all right? It's not necessary. If it's not necessary, if I can read the information without a title, then don't put it, all right? And if you are putting it, make sure that it is clear. It is clear. Don't just throw in something. Don't just throw in long things. It has to be clear and precise. Okay, right. Okay, remember your titles must be clear and precise. All right. Also, it has to be descriptive. All right. So write for us what it is. So maybe August sales. All right. Don't write in symbols. Do not use symbols or any other fancy thing. All right. Do not use symbols. So it has to be descriptive. Okay. Also, it is advised that you include timestamp on your dashboard. Include timestamp. Right, just for us to be able to trust your dashboard, it will be good that now I see it's 10 to 7. When I go to your dashboard, I should also see that this information has been updated at 10 to 7. It's just to show me that the information is up to date. Okay, so it is really the advice to do that, as well as date, time and date. Also, we know that, okay, this information has been updated on this date. All right. Or also the date where it was retrieved, like the when we got the information, the last time we got the information. All right. Let's say we got the information in September. On the 10th of September, the information was retrieved, like new information. Okay, to do the dashboard. All is important for your dashboard to actually give more meaning. Even when making decisions, they'll be able to tell that this information that I'm making decision with only includes September and October, or only includes January this year. It does not include last year, or something like that. I don't know. But it helps. It helps. Okay. Also, use of colors. Use of colors. Let me edit as number 7. Use of colors. So with colors, you are supposed to use natural colors. Okay? So you use natural colors. Right? Natural colors are like soft gray, green, blue, all right, brown. These are the colors that you see in nature. Okay, those are the kind of colors that you use if need be. All right. So remember, we try to avoid it being very colorful. But if you really need to use colors, these are the kind of numbers you should use. Or you should use company colors on the logo. Company colors as seen in the logo, in the company logo. Okay, now if you go further in your study guide, there is also a section that explains to you how to get your colors right. I think there's also like a video or something like that. Please go and also watch that video. It explains how you get your colors right when doing your dashboard. Okay, so these are the best practices in dashboards, and these are the steps. Now you have to know this before you can apply the Excel functions and the interactive control thereafter. Remember what I said, guys, this is just a summary. We're really trying to summarize dashboard as much as possible, but please do go through the recordings where we actually did those functions and the interactive control. And even whatever we did not do, some of them, it's also on your guide. You can just go through the interactive control. Make sure you understand those functions and interactive controls, because applying them will be necessary in the exam. Okay. Right. So there are about 13 Excel functions that will help you automate tasks. And there are about 6 interactive controls that will help you to automate tasks. Remember, interactive controls are found in the developer tab. So you need to have the developer tab, and we spoke about that on Saturday. That's when we're doing VBA. That is where you find your interactive controls. Okay. So if you do not have developer tab, you first of all have to insert it, then you can start using it. Otherwise, you will search around Excel, you will not see it. It is found in the developer. Right. Other features as well, we have your spark lines, we have pivot tables and charts. I know I touched on charts and pivot tables. I think it's the same video that I'm talking about on the dashboard. Please go through it. I did resend everything. Go through that one in particular. So I think it was a 3-hour class. go to that one in particular. A lot was covered there. Today we're just gonna list it down, and then you'll learn it from there. All right. So Excel functions to automate tasks. Okay, I did say there are 13 of them. Like I said, I'm just going to list them, go through that recording to get more detail. Right, the first one is the index function. Another thing, guys, you need Microsoft. Oh, I think I said it even on Saturday, 365, because some of these functions, or most of them, will not work on any other version. Okay, it needs the Microsoft 365. Guys, I'm repeating again, you need a proper working laptop. If you can have a second option, even better. Everything is happening on the laptop. Okay, you are going to do your work in Excel, and then you are also going to do your work in a Word document, which is going to then be printed into PDF. All right, so you are using a laptop. You need to have a proper working laptop, have a second option in case the other one things happen to it. We know how these things are. And the one thing we are scared of, which a lot of students have had since they started writing, is that people are not submitting. Guys, people are not submitting. Okay, they are studying, they come and write a paper only not to submit. So this has been an issue, a serious issue, and I really am begging you guys, get your things right so that you don't get to a situation where you stop writing. I mean, you don't submit because you write until the end and then it closes down on you. All right. And so most of these things are either it's network or it is the devices that you're using, the device goes slow or anything along that. So please just avoid all of those issues. Have a second option. If possible, let me not put you under pressure. If possible, have two laptops. Borrow one from a friend or from a family member, and then one should be yours in case anything goes wrong. Also, make sure your laptop has the right tools, the Microsoft 365, especially because we're doing dashboards. Okay. And yeah, that's basically it, guys. Your internet as well. Make sure you have proper internet. Please go where there is Wi-Fi. There's always a situation with data. Data has always been a problem. Right? Just go. If in your house there's no Wi-Fi, go to a friend's place, a family place, or work. Go to an office or somewhere. I don't know, but go somewhere where there is Wi-Fi so that you don't have issues. Please avoid all these issues. After working and studying so hard, you don't want to get to the point where you cannot submit because of any problem around your devices and network. Okay. Anyways, let's continue. The first one is index function. Like I said, this one is just but a summary. We have a recording where we have done it in detail. Okay, so basically what an index function does, it returns a single value. Okay, so I could use a position of something to know how much it is, Like I talk about the fruits, I can use the position where mango is. Maybe mango is in the fifth position, and then I can use the index function to use the position of the mango to know how much sales mango made. Something like that. I'm just trying to make an example. All right. That's an index function. That's what it does. The second one is the match function. Match function, they usually work together with index because match, on the other hand, I can have the product or the value of the product. Then I need to determine which position. This one determines the value using a position, while match determines the position using the value of the item. Okay, that's what it does. That's the match function. Then we have the XLOOKUP function. Right, so remember we've got VLOOKUP that we did in second year, which vertically look for information and then copies the information we're looking for. XLOOKUP looks on both sides. It looks vertically, it looks horizontally for information that we're looking up for. Okay, so it is very, very useful. This is one of the most useful functions ever. So make sure you really understand XLOOKUP. Okay. Then remember there are 13 of them. Yes, Tabang.
Hi, Naomi.
Hello.
Regarding the XLOOKUP, I just want to find out something. Is there no other alternative for XLOOKUP?
Alternate, it depends on what you have. It really depends. There are alternatives, but what information is presented to you, that's the thing. It depends. You can use index, even the index and the match, ne? Index and match used together can also be an alternative for XLOOKUP, but it depends on the information that is really in front of you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Those two can be, when put together, they can be used as an alternative, but sometimes they have limitation. So it just depends on how wild the information is, how large the information is. Also that, yeah. But
Okay.
please just get an alternative laptop. Please. Just to avoid
Yeah.
all this. Just for that
Okay.
day. Just for that day. You can even borrow just for that day.
Okay, I will try because the one I'm using, they're not using the 365, it's a work laptop, so they have the latest version. So, and I
Okay.
can't download the 365 on this one because it's a company
It's
laptop.
a company laptop. Yeah, you can't. Yo, you would have to then borrow from somebody like a friend or family or somebody you know. Or even at
Okay.
work, nobody has. Just for that day, just for the exam.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do.
Oh, all right.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Let's continue. Then we have the sum ifs, guys. Sum ifs is also one of the very important function, because this is where you are gonna add and they're gonna be data, they're gonna be serious data, like you're gonna have a lot of columns. So some ifs, it actually adds a lot of columns together. All right, it's with using different conditions. So for example, I want to break it down. I want, say there's different divisions, right? So I'm selling fruits and there are different divisions in the fruit, and maybe different sales assistants in the fruit. So I can maybe indicate that I want you to focus on division A. Give me the total of sales of mangoes in division A, using sales assistants in Pretoria, and maybe another condition. I just continue giving you different conditions. Right. All those conditions, I can use them and give the total of only this sum of the items that I require. All right. So it's not just the throwing in one column and say add, like we know, like sum. Okay, that is not it. Here it's summing with condition. So it follows different condition, and it can be more than one, like more than two, more than three even. It's in like it goes on and on. Even if you give me like 5 different conditions, I can use all those conditions and then give you the total, adding up everything that you have actually filtered down. Right, that's what sum ifs does. It's the same as count. So even with count ifs, you see ifs, don't forget the F. There is some if. Some if it's limited to like about two, I think it's about 2 conditions. Some if is limited to that. Then some ifs are adding on top of that. Okay, so there is a difference between some if and some ifs. So just pay attention to that, right? Right. Then we have count if. Count if basically it's ifs, ne? Basically, it does the same thing. I'm counting, but with many conditions. If it's just count if, it's like one condition. Count ifs, I can add many conditions, just like I was saying there. The other one we're adding up. This one we are counting. So if I say count for me how many items were sold, not how much was sold, but how many items were sold. You see, given conditions, that's what count if does, right? We also have average ifs. Average ifs. Again, these three, they really have a connection because they're both going down to conditions. All right. I'm breaking down the conditions to filter items, and I want to know what is the average of, at the end of the day, what will be the average of that condition. Okay. That's what basically it does. These three work together. Then once we have moved from there, remember there are 13, yeah? But you can see, guys, we have seen this before, unless if you have not really been attending classes or anything like that. But I'm sure you have seen this before. They are not very much new, but you just need to perfect it. At this stage where we are right now, it is a perfection stage now. We are perfecting so that we master for the exam. All right. 7 and 8, I'll give them together. 7 and 8, one is sort, the other is filter. Again, we spoke about filtering. Consider filtering as best practices when you're doing a dashboard. Sorting is when you put them in order, right? It can either be ascending or it can be descending. All right. Yeah, we use this a lot. So we want to sort maybe the dates. We got too much information that we just data, they can just throw to you raw data, big data. And for you to make sense of it, sometimes you have to sort them down. You say, okay, fine. What happened first? So I can get the story right. What happened first? All right. So you can sort it and say, okay, I'm sorting by date. I'm choosing dates. I'm gonna sort by dates and then give me the first date, the longest date first, or give me the current date then going down, whichever one you want. All right. So sorting does that. It just puts order into your data. Then filter. Filter is one of the most important as well. Let me even put an NB. This is one of the most important function to use. But we can even use, there's a filter option already that is there, and then there's a filter function. Now, please take note of the difference. The filter option that is in Excel is not automatic. So it means if I change information, it does not change that filter option that I've put there. All right, I have to put it again using the new information. But the filter function is automatic. It means if the information or the data that I had used changes, it automatically changes as well. It just changes automatically on the formula as well. So that is why we have a function for it instead of using the option that is already available in Excel. Okay. Please use the function if you are doing the dashboard, because in case anything happens, they will see it will also change. Besides, you guys are doing this as an exam, they will want to see the filter function. So in a case where I need to use filter, I'd rather use the function. All right, so those are the 7 and 8. Then we go to 9. 9 is one of the easiest function. This is the large and small. Let me say and large and small function. Okay, this is the one where they will say either the top five items or bottom five, right? This is the function that you would use for such things. So large is when you're looking at the data and you want like the biggest, maybe the biggest 4, the biggest 10, or the top performing items or the least performing items, right? In functions where you need that to find what is the highest performing or the lowest performing, that is when you use the large and the small function. Okay, right. They also sometimes used with match. Remember match here, we're finding the position, right? The position of an item. Sometimes they use it together with match to find the position of the item, and then we use the X lookup to find the name of the item. So sometimes I use interchangeably. Guys, these things are nice when you sit down to give it time. It's nothing fancy or anything like that, but if you give it time, you start enjoying it because when you're practicing, you understand, oh, I can apply this at work even. I can apply this in my business. I can apply this in different things. You realize that it's not even about AI and it's a skill that you are learning. Right. So that's large and small. Then we have number 10, the choose function. Choose function. These as well sometimes are used also with the large and small function. This is where you choose options. All right, so you have options and you get to choose. Again, it also works on with filtering, where you actually have an option. Either if I take 1, it will give me this information. If I take 2, it will give me this information. This is where we are trying to make our information to fit into one page. Remember dashboard? We want to make it fit into one page. This is one of the most useful. Let me even put an NB as well. This is one of the most useful function that we can use to make sure our information fits into that one page. Okay, that was 11. That's a choose function. Then we have the get pivot data function. Get pivot data function. This one has a lot of steps when doing the get pivot data function. All right, basically get pivot data function. It's just your pivot data. Remember your pivot table. So you have your pivot table, but the problem is we want it to be automated, that in case the original data that we had used changes, it can change automatically. But if I had used just the pivot table, it may not change automatically. I would have to redo it again because I new information. So here what we want is automation. We want to automate. So again, automation is going with us. But the VBA that we did, the automation we did on Saturday, it's coming again here. What we want is to automate the task. That is what we are doing, functions, instead of using the options that are already available in Excel. Just like We could have used the pivot table, but we decided to use the get pivot data function. Okay, then we have 12 and 13, which are the last ones. Guys, unique and sequence. Sequence. These are, again, very easy functions. Unique, this is when I want only, I don't want data to be repeated. Right, if a list of things will be repeating something, then I only want one of the data. For example, I want the most performing, I want what were the most performing items and the month in which they performed very well. Let's say we keep seeing March. So I go to mango March, I go to banana March, I go to strawberry March, so it's repeating. So what I want when I use the unique function is to say, okay, fine, we've seen March. So I only want to see one March. I want unique items only. Nothing should repeat from it. Again, it's also bringing down our information so it fits into that one page that we're talking about. All right, that's unique. Sequence, just like the name sequence, it's also put order. It's more like it's not sorting per se, but sequence is putting it in order to say this is the first, this is the second, this is the third that happened, this is the fourth that happened. Just numbering it, putting it to look neat. That's what sequence does. Okay, guys, so these are the 13 functions that you can use in this level to automate tasks. Remember, Excel is broad. These are not even everything. There are a lot of functions that you can do, but we can't throw everything all at once. Even AIN3701 cannot compare. Remember, there are people that are doing like programming, data science, and things like that. They even get more functions and all. But as we are just accountants, we also just want to gain this skill. That is why this is how much information they will give us. Okay. So this is how much you need to study. You don't have to worry about any other thing that is not here in this 13 list. Apart from the one you learned in your second year, these are the ones you should know. If you decide to do research on your own to get more function, it's okay. But remember, this is what they want to see because this is what they have tested. They have taught you. So this is what they want to see when you do your dashboard. If you are doing dashboard, I'm not so sure how possible that is, but we're all gonna see. Remember, they did not give an exemplary question or a question bank or anything like that. But we will see in the exam. All we need to do is to be ready with every topic and just know what we are doing. Right, so that was the Excel functions. Now remember, you also use interactive controls. So those are the Excel functions, also interactive controls. All right, these to automate tasks. Okay, remember you have to have the developer. Just when we normally do our VBA, that's where we find our interactive controls as well. We spoke about one of them, adding a button. Remember, adding a button, we did that on Saturday. Okay, but these ones we want more serious stuff. All right, so the first one we have a checkbox. Okay, we have a checkbox. Okay, where we have options. Let's say you want your food spiced or not spiced, right? If you click on spiced, it gives me the information of spice. If you select, so there'll be two options. You check the box. Once you check the box, it gives you information about that. When you check the other one, it gives the information of the other one. So that's what we want. This will help us simplify our dashboard so that we don't have too much information showing, but we still have information even that are underneath. It's like an under the blanket information that is sitting there. But if you want to see it, all you have to do is just remove the blanket and you see the information, but it does not make our dashboard to be too much. Okay, so that's basically checkbox. Then the other one we have is the option button. So from the button, you have an option to choose either A or B. All right, that's an option button. Now, guys, how to do these things, go through the recordings we did together. Also, there are other videos also on your study guides. You can also go through them, make sure you understand and do other research as well. Guys, we have to learn to do research, okay? These are skills we are learning, and we can learn more skills when we do further research of on top of what Unisa has given us we do more research onto it just to get it even more. All right, to understand even more and to learn even more than what Unisa is giving. Okay, so that's option button. Then we have a list box. So this is where they actually get to list all the items, but the information are hidden depending on if you have clicked on an item in the list. For example, the fruits. Maybe the information pertaining banana will only come out when you click on banana. So you have to actually select it. And then if I don't want to see banana, I want to see strawberry, I'm just going to click on strawberry, and then every other information I'll be seeing from that time will only be information about strawberry. So imagine if there are 10 fruits and all 10 informations are hidden, but they're there. They're hidden, but they're there. So all I have to do is just remove the blankets and you'll see it. Okay, so basically that's what a list box is. Then we have a combo box. Here we have a combo box. So this one is actually an extension of list box. Now, please, I would advise you to really go and study this further, the combo box. It's more like an extension of a list box. This is where we have a list of items, but we have other conditions that are attached to it. And then talking about conditions as well, X lookup will also come in, sum, count, average, all right, to come into the conditions that we're talking about. Large, small, choose, all right. So they all work together anyways. When you do interactive control, you'll be applying a lot of functions. Okay, so practice makes perfect. Then we have scroll bar. Scroll bar. All right, this is where you are scrolling to get the other options. At the end of the day, it's just about option. Choose between this and that, right? Although they're looking different, but it's just about that. Then we have lastly spin button. Now, not everything is going to be tested. One thing I want you to focus on, combo box, list box, check box as well. Okay, even this one. These four. I don't think the spin button will be there, but anyway, just learn everything, but focus on the four. Those four that I've listed there. Okay, these are the interactive control. They work hand in hand with functions. They work together. Okay, then apart from using the functions and using the interactive control, which are the ideal ones to use, there are also other features that you can also use, which are already in Excel. There are also other features depending on what the question requires of you. You can also apply the spark lines, which you find in insert option, right? You can also apply spark lines. Spark lines are divided into three. We have, let me just say A. We have the line graphs. So these are like, what you call what's the word? Miniature, like the miniature graph, like the small version of a graph. Imagine I'm just sitting in here like this, something like this, right? So I have my figure here. Let's say sales, let's say cost of sales, let's say profit. All right, and then maybe it's 100, it's 50, it's 80, it's 30, 60, 30, 25, whatever. Then in this small Excel, then I get something, I get a graph, a line graph. I get a line graph, get a line graph. Just inside that, a very small graph like that. Okay, so it's a miniature graph, miniature line graph, right? We have that. Then we have the second one is the column, spark line, column spark line, and this is being then the last one is the win or loss. This will tell us if we did well or we did bad on that graph. Okay, so spark lines can also be used. All right, this is actually going to make our graph to to have some life. Remember, we try not to be fancy and all that, but this will make it have some life. Okay, and then and the good thing about this is that it fits into the page, because remember it's a miniature graph, so it's very, very small, and it will definitely fit into our one page. Right, and then the pivot table, like again, depending on what they want, we can use also the pivot table. And remember, you use when you use the get data function, this one, let me put an NB to it. When you get the get data function, you do it along with the pivot table. You have to start with the table first before you even do the function. So they work together. They work together. Pivot table is a very useful tool, not just for dashboard, but like it's a very useful tool. Even at work, guys, you need to understand pivot table. My God. If you are doing Excel and you don't understand pivot table, then I don't know. I don't know, guys. Yo, I am. It's very, very important. Very, very, very important skill. Please make sure you master pivot table. Right. The other one you can use is charts. I think we spoke about that. Guys, charts are the easiest because they are there, they are available. You just go put your data, just select your data, and then you go. It even recommends for you which data to focus on. Right, guys, this is basically it. This is the summary on dashboard. Make sure you now go and practice. Right? Practice makes perfect. You know, it's a lot of information, but you try to summarize it to make it look so small. Yeah, because these are the important section, not every other thing. These are the important section. So what you're gonna do for me when you're studying, this is your focus. Your focus is to master the Excel function, to master the interactive control. These other ones are not so much important. Don't worry so much about the other feature, but these two, master them, and then try to play around to create a dashboard. Right? Play around to create a dashboard. That's what you're doing. If you can do that, then you are ready for Thursday. Okay, so that's basically, guys, that's on dashboard. Then let's go to the main thing which we are going to do today. But I believe we have learned on dashboard, but guys, it is now left for you to do your practice. Okay. But anyways, before I go to data analysis, do we have any questions? Any question? Right, let's go to data analysis. So guys, data analysis in simple format is just to make your information clear, understandable, and easy to use. Okay, that is what you are doing. You're analyzing the information so that it is clear for the next person to see. Because what we can do is we can just take data from somewhere and throw it to you. Okay. And then now you have to make sure that that data is analyzed so that the next person that will use the data doesn't have to do a lot of job. That is why I say dashboard is an example of data analysis. It's an example. So that's what you're doing with dashboard. That is why your dashboard at the end of the day should be that if I look at it, I'm able to make a decision straight. I don't need to sit down and start analyzing again. That means the person who analyzed it did not do a good job. If somebody has to sit down and reanalyze the dish, there's a problem. Okay. So that is, guys, in summary, like in short summary, that is what data analysis is all about. But anyways, let's go and look further into it. I have summarized it really, really to only pay attention to the main things. So let's go. Data analysis. Right, so let's start first of all, what is it? Okay, so this is basically the process of analyzing. So it's definitely a process of analyzing, analyzing raw data. You can also say big data in order to draw out meaningful, to draw out meaning, meaningful, actionable insights, which are then used to inform and drive smart business decision. Used to inform and drive smart business decisions. Okay, so that is what data analysis is. At the end of the day, we're trying to scrutinize information so that we get to the bottom of whatever it is that we need and be able to use it for our good. Okay. Right. So from there now, it takes us to the data analytics process. So there are 5 steps in this, there are 6 steps in this process of data analysis, right? And you need to know, generally, you need to just know about it, but there are aspects that are very, very important. Right. So let's start. There are 6 steps, data analytics process, data analytics process. Okay, so step number 1, right? So the step 1 is to identify the question. Okay, identify the question, not the question necessarily that we're worried about, but it's more of the root cause, right? So that question is more for us to get the cause of the whatever we're working on. So identify the question. Right, to do this, there are 3 techniques that I use to identify the question. Technique number 1 is the 5 whys technique. 5 why technique. 5 whys technique. So in this one, you continue to ask why. Okay, so why did you so let me see. Okay, why were you stolen? All right. I was stolen because I was in the wrong place. Why did you go to that wrong place? Okay, let's say you were stolen in a club. No, let me not use club. Let me use supermarkets. Right, supermarket in Joburg. A lot of people, a lot of people in Joburg, they were robbed. Like Joburg, MTN, that side. Yeah, So, so why were you stolen? Because I was in MTN. The place is not safe and all that. Okay, fine. Why did you go to MTN? I went to MTN because there are no other place to get maybe buses to go to KZN. Okay. Um, so now you ask further, okay, why are you going to KZN? I'm going to KZN because maybe there's a funeral or whatever family gathering. So I'm going there because of that. Okay, so you get to the root cause of the problem. Okay, whatever caused this was maybe the pressure that the family put this person under pressure, and now she had to live in a hurry, living in a hurry, wait without checking herself, walking carelessly, and then got stolen. So that is basically what it does. So you keep asking why to why. Why I know it's annoying. I'm sure this is one of the techniques that they would use in the police force. They will ask you why until you speak. Like if you're trying to hide it, you will speak because you'll be annoyed by that point. They ask you 5 whys already when you've answered something, and you have to answer why and why and why. You will get annoyed until you give the truth. So it's one of those techniques, right? And then technique number 2 that they use to identify the question is the 5Y, sorry, 5W1H technique. 5W1H. Okay, so these 5Ws are your what, your what, your why, your who, your where, yeah. What, why, who, where, and then the H stands for how. All right. So those are the techniques. So you use those to ask your questions to get to the bottom or the root cause of the problem. And then the last one they use is a fishbone, number 3, fishbone technique. Okay, the fishbone technique. This is where we break down information in the form of a fishbone. More like something like, let me do it this side. More like something like this. Okay, so this is the fishbone. It's gonna have its head here. The head of the fish. Maybe the head of the fish being the main problem. Then we begin to break down the issues here. Okay, we begin to break down the issues. Maybe we're gonna consider the place. We're gonna consider the time. We're gonna consider the associates, the people that were around. You're gonna consider place and environment is the same thing, eh? You're gonna consider the safety. You're gonna consider the compliance of the place. We're going to consider maybe the population. Yeah, I'm just giving an example. All right, so it looks something like that, like a fish pond. So we look at different aspects of a problem to get to the root cause. So what this does, again, what identifying the question does is to get to the root cause. Root cause. Okay. So that is our step one in data analysis. Now, some of these things may not apply in every situation. Okay, I just spoke about the crime scene, the police, whatnot. That will make so much sense if I have to analyze that kind of data. All right, but not every data will actually, need that. But at some point, there will have to be questions there and there, but not every of the techniques will have to be applied in every situation. Step number two, now you have to master your data. Now that you get to the root cause of the problem, now you have to master the data. Right. So master the data, the information that you actually have, and you master it in this way. So you need to understand what is the purpose. Understand the purpose of what is it that you're doing, right? Once you understand the purpose, now obtain the data that you need. Obtain all the data that is required. Okay, then this data that you obtain, make sure you validate them. Validate for completeness. Validate that data for completeness and integrity. So it has to be real information, not misleading. Shouldn't be a lie. You can't be working with lies or assumptions. It should not be an assumption, it should not be a lie. So that is why you have to validate it to make sure the information you're using is actually true. Okay. And then you have to clean the data. And that's the one we take some time to talk about that, but I think I'll come back to it once we're done with the whole process. All right. Then you have to make sure you clean the data. Okay, I'm going to talk about it just now. This one is very important. I believe there's going to be a question only on that one. Okay. Then step number three. So I'm coming back to it. Step number three. So I have identified the root cause of the problem, and then I've mastered the data. Step number three now is to perform a test plan. Perform a test plan. This is where you are actually planning on which direction that you're going to take of the using the data that you have, the information that you have now. How are you going to plan to move ahead or to use the information? Okay, then we go to step number 4. Step number 4, now you're going to address and refine the results. So remember you did a test plan, right? Now you are going to address and refine the results. Okay. You're going to address and refine the result. What did you come up with? What was the results from the test plan? What was the result from all the planning, all the mastering of the data that you did? What was the result? Once you have your results, then step number 5, you're now going to communicate it. Okay, step number 5, now you communicate the insights. Let me use blue. You will now communicate the insights from all the findings that you have done, from all the mastering, the tests, and all of that you have done. Now you're coming back now to communicate your result. And once you have communicated your results and you've actually started, you have analyzed, you've communicated your result, everything is going well, you don't just leave it there. You have to continue to track the outcome. So you will have to continue tracking the outcome. Track the outcome. Just because I have done my work and I feel like, okay, this is the result of what I've done, this is the conclusion, doesn't mean that things can go wrong. Things may not go wrong tomorrow. So I have to keep tracking the result of whatever I've done. Okay, so guys, those are the 6 steps that you actually follow when you're doing data analytics, and they also come out they are abbreviated this way to make up what you call impacts, right? So step number 1, identify, we take I. Step 2, we take M from the mastering of the data. Step 3, we take P, perform a test. Step 4, we take A, addressing and refining. Then step 5, we take C. Step 6, we take T, which spells impact. So in case you want to forget, or you in case you forget, then remember it with impact. Okay, so those are the what you call the data analytics process. Now, before we go on, I want to look at data cleaning. I have took this out from your guide just to bring it here. Data cleaning, guys, I've done this also in the previous class where we're doing data analysis. Data cleaning, guys, I think you do a lot of that at work. Maybe you just don't know what it is called. Data cleaning is just making the information presentable, keeping only relevant information. And when we talk about in dashboard, we keep saying that only work with relevant information, right? Everything that is not important should be removed, isn't it? So that is the same thing as data cleaning. So we want to make sure that the information is important, is relevant, and is understandable. It shouldn't just be an information sitting there that does not make any sense. And if things are dirty or it's just all over the place, we have to close the gaps and every other thing. So that's what you're doing with data cleaning. Okay, so this is a comprehensive table. I took it from your guide, like I'm saying, and it's very important that you understand this one. For example, right? So I'm just gonna go down. For example, if you're going through the extraction and it says all the data did not transfer, so what you have to do is just check did all the data transfer. You will know sometimes you will be able to pick it up. You'll be able to pick up that not all information is transferred. Then you just add the rows. Okay, and if data was not correctly transferred, then you modify the incorrect value. So they're telling you what to do. This is basically the issue. These are your issues and these are your solution. What you do to clean. How do you detect? It even tells you how do you detect. You compare row, you compare row counts. How do you know that this is the issue? This is your detection. This is the issue. This is your detection. This is your correction. Cleaning is the correction. That's the cleaning that we're talking about. So your data has to be clean. Okay, I'm just gonna jump some of them. Let's say, for example, columns are not single values. So you examine values in the column. That's what you do to detect it. And then you split the composite columns. Okay. Let's say we have this one. This is the one that they love the most. We have an inconsistent value. All right. If you have an inconsistent value, you have to modify that value. So let's say our sales usually start increasing from September. All right. So we know that in January we don't sell well. January people are going back to school, people are going back to work. Life is serious in January. Everybody's serious. Children are going back to school. Everything's are just serious. Nobody wants to go to a party. Nobody wants to spend money in January. All the money has been spent in December. That's the problem. So it happens to everybody. I think everybody falls in this spray. There are few people that are, let me not say smart, should I say disciplined few? Yeah, there are disciplined few that will just be quiet in December and have money in January. But most of us, we will enjoy in December because that's when we have time with our family. That's when we have time to go around. That's when companies closes. That's when people go on vacations. Those are the festive seasons. So it makes sense why people would spend a lot in December. And in January, of course, you'll go broke because you have spent your savings for the year. All right. And of course, January is just that mood. The mood of January is just that it's a work mood. It's just like, okay, I'm going back to work. I'm going back to school. It's just that mood. Like people are just not in the mood of partying and enjoying it, all of those things. So even if they do have the money, I don't think they have the time or the energy for shopping, you see. So it makes sense that sales will be bad in January. In February, it will begin to peak because of Valentine. Because of Valentine, people will begin to buy things, they come back again. It is that love period. So people will begin to pick, buy and things. And then it just begins to grow. Mother's Day, Father's Day, a lot of things begin to happen. But January is one of the time where sales would usually die. Right. But if it happens now, in this January, let's say in December, we sold 500,000 worth of items from September. We've been selling and all that. Then come January, we sell items for 1 million. This already should question. We should question. If you are doing data analysis and you're not questioning such a problem, it is a serious problem. You should question. How come the sale says 1 million in January? So you have to ask yourself a question. Was this an error or was it true? And if it's not an error, you have to go and find ways to prove that this was not an error. If you have to find it. You have to prove that this was not an error. But you don't let it go, because this is it's inconsistent. It does not make sense that we'll make more sales in January in comparison to December. Even if we put sales out there, even if we say we're selling this at 20% off, the thing is, in December, people have a tendency of buying more. People have time for shopping. People have energy and all those things. January, people are busy. They are back to work. Even if you put promotions, I don't know if you have noticed that most in January, guys, when you go around the shopping mall in January, you will see sales like no one's business. That is why I was saying some people are just disciplined because they understood the system. You will see sales. Almost every shop, almost every store has a sale going on. But still, even with the sale going on, they don't make as much sales as they do in December and festive seasons, like from September, October, November, December, those periods. Especially December is the peak. It also depends on the type of business, right? Like retail, retail. I don't know what else I'm trying to think of. Events, companies, retails, and things like that. December is like their peak. But other business, not every other business is the same. But majority of the business do make money in December. Majority. All right. So it's a questionable something to say, what? We made more sales in January than December. I need an explanation here. So you need to go back and find what is really causing this. You may find out that it was just an error. Instead of it being maybe 100,000, they've added an extra zero. All right. So those are the inconsistencies we're talking about. Cleaning is simply that, guys. If something is missing, bring it. If something is not clear, we find out what is the problem and fix it. If it's not put in the right formatting as well. For example, I want to add currencies and the number is just thrown to me. I want it to be in currency. I want to differentiate this number is actually the amount, the money value. So I'm putting a rand to differentiate between that and the numbers that we're just using to count or anything like that. So that is what cleaning is. I think I've did that with you guys also in a Excel before. I think it was in data analysis as well. If we go to one of some of those classes, yes, there is a class where I titled it data cleaning. Yes, please go through that as well. I did it practically in Excel to show you how data is cleaned. Even putting data in a chart is cleaning data because it's putting in a presentable format for us to be able to understand it better. That is also cleaning of data. Okay, so guys, those are the process. You're welcome to go through this. Is in your study guide as well. Data cleaning, but data cleaning is not even about reading, it's about practical. When you see the information, you should be able to have skills. That's what I'm saying. What you're learning in AIN are skills, guys. They are skills. I really hope they were giving us a certificate, because these are skills that you would use at work. You are cleaning data almost every day at work, almost every day. Okay, so basically that's how it is. So all you need is the skills and you're going to do it practically. They will throw the information to you. You just make sure the information is now clean, it's visible, and it is understandable. Okay, so that was that. Let's continue now. So another thing that you really need to know also in under data analytics is statistics, right? Statistics. Okay, you're not going to deal with statistics in much detail like we did in maths back in the days in high school and all that. It's not going to be in so much details like somebody who's studying maybe data science or whatever, but you need to know these small statistics which you may be required to answer in the exam. Right, for example, I don't want to say sum. I feel like that one is not too much of a statistic, but with this, you're just adding, isn't it? So sum, we all know, equals to sum the data that you're adding. Okay, this is just the total, all right? And when we talked about some if and some ifs, okay, we spoke about all of that. Another thing you need to know in statistic And this, I'm talking about the Excel, statistic in Excel. That will be the formula. Another one you need to know is the mean. How do I calculate the mean? Remember, mean is the average value, right? So mean is the same as calculating average. So equals to average. Okay, average of whatever range that you are looking for. That will be the mean. Mean is the average. Then we have the median. Median is the middle value. Median. These are used in standard deviation, statistic, and all of those. Median is the middle value, and in Excel, it simply say equals to median of whichever range that you're looking for. And then we have also in statistics, we also use the minimum and the maximum, all right, which is also just the same as mean, open bracket, or equals to max. This is getting the highest and the lowest value. Right. When you want the highest value, use max. When you want the lowest value, use min. Okay, these are statistics, Excel functions. We also use count to count values, equals to count, and then you put whatever values you are counting to count the values. Okay. Then another statistic that you need to know, we have frequency. I think we touched on frequency already. Was it frequency? No, that was sequence. Okay, this is frequency. To know how often something has happened. The number of observations. So it's in Excel is equal to frequency in whatever range that is. This is to determine the number of observations. Number of observations. And lastly, it's standard deviation. Standard deviation. Right, so standard deviation will be equals to, please pay attention to how they break it down, is STD EV. Okay, if you are using sample or population, then you just say dots. If it's sample, you say dot S. If it's population, you say dot P. Okay, let me write it here. This is sample. This is population. So it all depends on the information that is given to you. All right, so this is just important for you to know. I don't think it's going to be tested that much, but if they want to test it, then we can put it together with predictive analysis. They can put it together with predictive analysis into one. Okay, it can also be used in dashboards and other places. Yes, it can be used just anyway. So it's one of those topics that they can just squash somewhere. So just know it, just practice it. It's not a big deal. Really, these are not big deals. All right. Then once we're done, they come the last one, which is the most important. And after that, we're going to do that activity 5.7 together. Right, this one is very important. What I'm going to show you now, there's a high chance that it's definitely coming. All right. It's the predictive analysis. Predictive analysis. Okay, so predictive analysis, there are three approaches, but we're only going to be examining on one. Only one is going to be examined, so there's no need for us to deal with the other two. So it is the regression that is going to be tested only. Only the regression. All right. So the predictive analysis that we are focusing on is regression. Okay. So under regression, what can be tested under regression? All right, so there's a couple of things. Under regression, they're going to test you to do a scatter plot. I'm going to do a scatter plot together with you guys so you can see how that is done. All right, on that scatter plot, you're able to determine the formula, regression formula. From here, you're able to determine the regression formula. and the coefficient of determination, R squared, which is coefficient of determination. Okay, you're able to get that from this scatter plots. Right, then we have the regression function. Regression function. All right. So in a regression function, this is also NB. This is an NB. You have to know this. Okay. In a regression function, we're going to have some couple of items that are very important that needs to be understood. All right. So let's start. Items like, for example, let me call them number one. So number one, you need to understand the effect of adjusted R squared, which is coefficient of determination that we spoke about. So we're going to have a value that is going to be adjusted. All right. Just have to understand the effect of that. So what is this all about? So in an adjusted R squared, this determines, please, you need to write notes on this one, is very important. Okay, so this determines the extent of the variance of the dependent variable which is explained which the independent variables can explain, or which is explained by the independent variable. Okay, in other words, how much of the dependent variable is explained by the independent variable. Okay, right. Now we have to decide if we have a good fit. All right, so we need to decide if we have a good fit, and a good fit is when the percentage of the adjusted R squared is high and is above 95%. All right, this is the good fit. If it's above 95%, you know that you have a good fit. It means they basically they are dependent. In other words, the dependent variable is highly dependent on the independent variable. The independent variable can highly explain the dependent variable. Okay, so they have a relationship, a good relationship. It's a good fit. All right. Another one that you need to know here on your regression, you need to understand your significant F and P value. All right, significant F, significant F and P value. Right, so significant F is the overall P value of the regression. This is the overall P value. Right, and the p-value, this one, the p-value, now we're looking at it under independent coefficients. Focus on independent coefficients. I'm gonna this will make sense when we actually do it in Excel. Right, so what is this all about? Okay, so this is basically a test. Let me write in blue here. So this is a test. Okay, rather should I say this test determine? Yeah. Or this is a test that determines. No, let me just do it this way. This test, right? The significant F and P value. This test determines whether your regression model with all its independent variable, whether your regression model with all its independent variables. By the way, independent variables, let me just do this. So we have here our y-axis, we have our x-axis. Right, this is the dependent variable. This is the dependent variable. This is usually where there is amounts. Usually where there is amount, like total sales, like total cost, whatever, that will be your dependent variable. Then the one underneath here, this is the independent variable. Okay, every other thing that is not the amount will be independent variable. So this is how that's how it looks like. Just think of this in the graph. Anyways, let me continue. So this test determines whether your regression model with all its independent variables does a better job explaining the dependent variables variability, uh, variability than a model with no independent variable. Than a model with no independent variable. Okay, so with that being said, how do we then know if the p-value or the significant f is good? Remember, they're just the same. One is for overall model, the other one is for independent coefficients, right? How do we then know that it is good? So we do this test in here. This is the result. So we're saying if, right, if my p-value is less than 0.01, which is basically 1%, my p-value is less than 0.01%, then it means the model is highly significant. Highly significant. Okay, so we can actually rely on the model to give us the good results. Right, but if the p-value is between, so if the p-value is actually between, so it's less than I'm trying to, okay, so it's less than 0.05 but is greater than 0.01. Okay, so it's falling between, not 0.05, what am I saying, 0.5, this is 5%. So if it is less than 5% but greater than 1% or 0.01, then we can still say yes, it is significant. The graph is still significant. So in other words, what we want is that our p-value or significant f must actually be less than 0.5, less than 5%. Then it's going to be significant. It means we can rely on this model of the on the information on this module or on this graph. Right. But if our p-value is greater than 0.5, then there's a problem. So it's less than 10%, 0.1, which is 10% p-value, but the p-value is greater than 0.5. As soon as it's greater than 0.5, which is my 5%, as soon as it's greater than 0.5%, it is no longer statistically significant. Statistically significant. Okay, so guys, this is how you are going to read it. This is how you are able to comment on your your, should I say, statistic or your regression. Yes, on your regression, this is how you're able to comment on your regression, by reading it like that. Okay, then the last thing that we have to look at is the coefficient and the intercept, which comes from the formula, the linear regression formula. All right, the linear regression formula. So from all these that we're doing, we should also be able to come up with a formula. So the formula generally is that y is equal to b plus ax. All right, this b is known as the intercept, and we get this when you do the regression function that we're about to do, we're going to do now. This is the intercept. This is referred to as the intercept, and this a here is referred to as the coefficient. Okay, these coefficient normally are your independent variables. Normally, your independent variables. Normally it comes from there, your independent variables. All right. Like I said, we're going to look at it in detail. Now, remember, we've been talking about regression, right? We've been talking about regression. We must also note that very important, and this is the one they love the most, is that you can also do multiple regression. So that means there is more than one independent variable. More than one independent variable. All right, so the formula then will change when it is a multiple regression. It's not a single one. So it's going to be equals to y equals to b plus a1x1 plus a2x2 plus a3x3, and goes on. Okay. So that is it, guys. That is how it works. That is your regression analysis. All right. Now, nothing beats putting things in practice. Okay. So we have done the summary. This is basically the summary on data analysis. You see, it looks like there's a lot, but you can summarize it in, you know, like shorten all the information, because what we need is the important items. So I've only put the important item. Any other thing that just needs you to read, I have not just put it there, especially things that I know that are not going to be examined. I did not put it there as well. So as you're reading, they do you know, they actually do help you to tell you that no, don't pay attention to these ones, just know it for sake of knowledge. It's not going to be examined, things like that. So that's where you're not going to pay you're not going to use most of your time. Guys, using time wisely is very important when it comes to studying. Very important that you use your time wisely. Okay, right. Let's get to the activity 5.7, which then will bring all this regression and what statistics into place. So let's go. So in this activity, this is the information we have. So it says, you were invited to the budget meeting, Mrs. Duma, CEO, Miss Janssen, CFO, and the product managers and the production foreman of each production line and the maintenance manager, Mr. Mashaba, were all present at the meeting. All the product managers presented their individual budgets for the year, but on every single one, Mr. Mashaba complained that the maintenance fee was not worked out correctly. So it's the problem. We've already picked up the problem here. Maintenance fees was not worked out correctly. Then we continue. He explained that all the product division used a flat rate of 130 Rand per maintenance fee. So they all use a flat rate of 130 Rand for maintenance service per machine. But in effect, services are more expensive. He explained that maintenance on the oven, which are most of the production machines, were very labor intensive. So he says it was depending on labor hours. Basically, it was labor intensive. And let me just put these ovens were labor intensive. It also depends on how many service staff are available to perform maintenance on production machine. So basically, this is the assumption that he made, that ovens were labor intensive and depends on how many service staff are available to perform maintenance on the production machine. Then he goes on. He therefore argued that it does not reflect reality to simply charge a flat rate when maintenance is performed on a machine. He presented the following sheet, which reflects the output, the number of machines serviced. So this is this. Make sure you understand the output. Where was I? Which reflect output. Output means the number of the machine that we serviced, then the number of employees, then the direct labor hours, and the total maintenance cost. You see where there is the total cost, that is normally your dependent variable. Where there is cost or whatever, that is your dependent variable. And every other thing that is not cost, all these three are your independent variables. Independent. Those are the one that goes to your x-axis, this goes to your y, this goes to your x-axis. Okay. So this is the information they have. This information is from January to December. This is the output. The output remember is the number of machine service. Then we have employees. Then we have direct labor hours, and we have total. Okay. So basically that is that. Then let us continue. Maintenance and manager's presentation. He ensured the meeting that his data were correct and there were no outliers present in these figures. All right, you can download this. Okay, we already downloaded. Then it says, Miss Janssen told the meeting that the maintenance cost matter would be investigated. After this, the meeting was adjourned. Miss Janssen asked you to assist with the following. So here comes your question. Number one, you're supposed to perform a multiple regression analysis. So they started with a multiple, not a single one, eh? Not a regression analysis, but a multiple regression analysis with the following. A, your output, number of employees, and direct labors are going to be your independent variable. I think I said it even before they can say it, I've said it. You have to be able to pick up what are your dependent variables and what are your independent variables. These are very important. All right. Then it says total cost is the dependent variable. Then copy and paste the Excel output into your report. Explain the statistic generated by Excel. Very important. B, if necessary, repeat the regression analysis until the statistical measures are satisfied. Okay, so if something is not making sense, it has to be removed and we will repeat the regression analysis. Each time indicate if the regression analysis was reperformed and which variables were used, and interpret the statistic generated by Excel. C, provide a formula, very important, that can calculate maintenance accuracy. All right. Then number two, provide an example of how the formula obtained, how the formula obtained in the regression analysis can be used to calculate the maintenance cost if I have this, and this. Okay, how would I calculate the regression? All right, how would I calculate the regression formula there? Then the last one, provide an opinion whether you agree with Mr. Mashaba's statements that maintenance cost is labor hour intensive. Labor hour intensive, or dependent on the number of maintenance staff. Substantial answer. Do we agree or not? Okay, so with that being said, let us go to Excel. No, I'm not seeing it open. Oh, there it is. Right, I'm sharing my Excel folder. I'm just gonna give you some time to show. All right, so let's get to it. Let's get to it. I just want to add, I know that we are busy with regression analysis. I just want to add a place for scatter plots. Double T. Yeah, I just want to add for that. We're going to start with that one first before we go. Right, so I want to do a scatter plot, and scatter plots can only take 2 items at a time. So I'm going to focus my scatter plot on direct labor and total cost, or I can do all three. Let's do all three. Output, so I have here output, I have here number of employees, I have direct labors, and I have total cost. Just want to do something. Insert. Right, I want to change these. I want to copy this. Let's cut it. I want to put this here. Okay, Control V. Oh, it doesn't want to select everything. Okay, Control C. Let's put it here. Control V. All right. Okay, just working my information. But now I don't like the fact that it says true. Well, it's because I copied it instead of cutting. Okay. Just making sure my information is going to be usable. Right. I want to start with scatter plots. And then, oh, I can even do them here. I just want to, yeah, let me do them just here. I want to start with scatter plots, and then we're going to do the regression line so that you guys can also understand how the scatter plot works. Okay, so I want to do, first of all, I want to take number of employees, and that will be my independent variable, and this is my dependent variable, the total cost. All right. So I'm gonna go to insert. Once I've selected that, I go to insert, and then I go to here with these charts. Right, already from here, before I can even go any further, you can see here this is my scatter plot. Okay, so I can select that, and then there are different ones that you're looking for. I want the linear scatter plot, which is the first one. So I select it. As you can see, this is my scatter plot. Okay, I want to move it properly. Yeah, I want to move the whole graph there. So this is my scatter plot. Let me bring it down. All right. So this is my scatter plot. This is my total cost, but I want to see what are these numbers. Okay, so I want to add, you see, when you click here, this is what you can do. I want to add excess title. So I'm going to select excess title. Then it brings my title. This one, the one that is already selected, that is my total cost. So I can just say equals to, then click there and then enter. You see the name changes to total cost. And then I'll do the same here. Click there, equals to, this was number of employee, enter. Right, I just wanted to label it. Okay, also let me bold it, Control B and Control P. Right, so basically, this is my scatter plot number 1, which is looking at number of employees, the relationship between number of employees and the what you call, let me just make it a little bit big. It doesn't show properly. The relationship between numbers of employees and the total cost. So let's do some work here. I'm going to go here. I want to create a trend line. So I'm going to select my trend line. I want it to be linear. When you go here, this is the one we want, right? So it's a linear. This will determine the relationship that the graphs are. Are my relationship, are they all in this line? How closely are they to the line? Right, that's very important. Then we go here as well. No, I don't want legends. Okay, I don't want legends. Another thing I want is to remove the grid lines. Yes, I don't want grid lines like that. What else do I want? Data labels. I don't want labels. Okay, let's go trend lines, more options. Right, in more option, I want to display my formula and I want to display my R squared. Okay, so I want this and this to be shown. All right, so this will give me my formula, and the other one will give me the R squared value. All right, so now if I go here, I want to move them up a bit. Let me see, I want to move them up a bit. Let them be here somewhere. Right, that's my formula. Let me control B. You can do a lot with it. You can increase the size. If I go home right now, I can increase the size. I can even increase the font. I mean, change the font. Let's see, I like to use this one. This is my favorite. And then maybe increase it to 12. Okay, maybe to 11. But the problem is increasing it, my total cost now is left behind. So I have to do the same thing so that it shows, otherwise it would not show. Okay, awesome. Oh, I feel like it's still not showing enough. Let's bring it here. Awesome. So there's my formula. All right, remember our formula that we were talking about, the intercepts, then plus this one starts with the coefficient multiplied by x, and then the intercepts. Now check also the relationship that is happening in there. Is my graph going down or is my graph going up? All right, so here I can see it's a negative. Anyways, we'll talk about it more when we continue. What else can I do with this? Okay, let's do this. These ones, the item in here, but it's not picking them. That's what I want to do. Yes, the item in here, it only begins when from 25. If you see here, the relationship begins from like after 25. So I want to bring this to my minimum. I want my minimum to be 25. I want my minimum to be 25. Let me see. Let me go here. Where is it here? Access options. Yeah, access options, right? I want my minimum to be 25, not 0, because there's just a blank there. I'll put it 25 and press enter. Yeah, better. And then this, I can pull it up again. No, picked the wrong things. I can pull this up again just so it shows my, yeah. All right, this is how my scatter diagram is looking like. This is how my scatter diagram is looking like. Let's see, okay. Right, fine. Option, this is good enough. At least I see it better. Okay, let's do the second one. The second one, I want output, so I'm gonna select output. After I select this, I press control, then I select total cost, right? Then after that, I'm going to insert the same thing. I go to insert, and then I select the scatter plots. Okay, guys, 1 minute. I'll be with you now. Okay, guys, I'm back. All right, so let's continue. Where was I? Where was I? Okay, there I am. Okay, let's continue. So this is the second one. The second one, I want to also include my access titles. Okay, so this one is the one where we took the which one? This one was the one we took the output. So I'll just say equals to select the output, enter, and then this one equals to select total cost, enter. All right, so basically that's how my graph is looking like. I also want to include my trend lines. So I'll go here, select here trend lines, and this is the linear. You can already see the linear there. And then I also want to go to more option. Okay, more option. So I want to include my equation, display equation, and also display the R squared. I want to do that just like we did the other one. So I'm going to come in there, select them, try and move them a little bit. Okay, it's not okay, it is moving. Try and move them a little bit, do some work on it. Like we did the last time. Change the font. Okay, you don't have to change font all the time. I'm just showing you that you are free. Okay, you can do the same thing with all of them. Right, I hope this is not wasting our time, but anyways, fine. Then I also don't want the grid lines to show, so I'm gonna go remove where it says grid lines. There must be no lines like that. If I want to bring this down as well, because everything starts, so it starts from 200. I could also just select here. Why is not selecting? Yes, there. I could also just select the actually X is my minimum. I want it to be 200. Enter. Yeah, better. It gives me better results. I can see my results better. Right, and this is my formula. That's my R squared. Okay, and you can already see the R squared is less than 95%. Like we said, it's not a good fit. This is not a good fit. Remember we spoke about that. Okay, that's my scatter plots number 2, and then I'm gonna do my scatter plot number 3. And from there, you would see I wanted to do the scatter plot first because they come back to give the same formula when you do a regression, but it has to be if it's a one regression, it's going to be the same, but if it is a multiple, it's not going to be the same. Anyways, let's just continue. So I did employees output. Now I'm doing direct labors. So I'm going to select this, then press control, then select total. Right, then I go to insert. I put on my linear diagram. You can move this down or aside. Let's do this aside. Okay, I'm just making a little up there. Right, so this is it. Okay, let's add the things we need. We want to add X titles, access titles, so that we know what we're dealing with. And then this is my total cost. Right. Again, there's too many things here. I don't want to see all the empty spaces. So I'll click there. And then I want this to start by even 3,000. Okay, yeah, better. Right, then we also need to add a line to it. Sorry, we have to add a line to it. So remove the grid lines, add a trend line to it. Okay, and then does it just end there? From the trend lines, we want to also add the formula. So I'll go to more option, and on this side, display equation and the R squared. Same thing, we take it, we move it aside. Then we do some work onto it for it to show. All right, awesome. Also just okay. So basically, this is it. This is how you do your scatter plot, and this is your formula. All right, the formula is following that trend that we're talking about. All right, this is your R squared, your coefficient of determination, which shows how closely the informations are, how reliable, should I say, the information, how correlated, or how closely is my dependent variable, uh, uh, can it explain the independent variable? All right, how closely can it explain? All right, so this is what basically it's telling. These are the formula that you're doing. I just want to pick up one to do a regression for it, and I want to show you how they will actually come back to the same formula. So let me pick this one, the total cost and output. Okay, let me pick total cost and output, this one. So I'm going to do that to, with that total cost. Okay, let's see. So I'm going to go to, now, first thing first, for you to use the regression, right? You have to make sure you have the analysis tool. So you click on file, you go here where it says options. Okay, you go where it says options, and then you click on where it says add-ins. Okay, where it says add-ins, now we want to look for the analysis. So we go where it says go, select there, and then you make sure here, the very first one, analysis tool pack, make sure it's selected. Otherwise, you won't be able to see this regression function things that we're supposed to use now. Okay, so that should be your first step. Then, okay, mine is already there. I've used it already. So to do a regression, this is what you do. You go to data, you click data. You go to the end, which is data analysis. All right, we're waiting for it. There is, now I have to move down to look for the one that says regression. Okay, that's the regression that we're talking about, that we've been talking about when you're writing notes. Okay, so we select it and we press OK. Then it's gonna give us it says input Y range. Y range is the dependent variable. All right, so I'm gonna select my dependent variable. Okay, then input X, this is my dependent variable. So remember what we said, we want to use what was it? Was it output? You want to use output. So I'm gonna select outputs. Okay, right. Then I'm using labels, so I'm gonna select use labels. You see the confidence level is by 95%. That is the coefficient of determination should be at least 95%. All right. Anyways, we want to put it inside here. I don't want to take it out. I want to put it inside here. So I'm going to select output range. Now it wants me to tell it where it should be. So I select in here, and then I'll press here. Right, that's where it's gonna be, and then I'm gonna say okay. Right, this is a single regression. This is a single regression, and so we want to do some work in this regression. All right, and I want you to check what happens. Sorry guys, trying to move these things around. Okay, there we go. Right, so what is important? The important things here is the adjusted R squared. So let's highlight the important things. Is the adjusted that here it's the significant F. Yeah. Okay, I need to go up a little bit. Yes, the significant F is important, and then what else here? The p-value is important. P-value and then the coefficients. That is also important. Right, then we have to make the information readable and easy to use. So these are the summaries of regression. So I'm going to, all these are supposed to be percentage. So I'm going to turn them back. I'm going to turn them into percentages, but with 2 decimal places. So it doesn't give me 100%. Right, then this is supposed to be a number. So I'm just going to insert a comma onto it to give it a number format. So you see it's actually 0.0. These ones, well, these ones I think they are fine, but I can just make them numbers. Just apply a comma to it. Okay, it's much more readable. The p-values as well, I want to make it a number, so apply a comma to it so it's easy to use. So that it is easy to use. Okay, so what I can do is just for me to have more of it, I can add additional decimal. Okay, the more I add, I'm still seeing zeros, so I'm good. I'm good to go. Let me make just 3. Yeah, it's fine like that. So these are the important items that I'm going to look at. These are the important items that I'm going to be able to get my formula to do. Now, remember, what does the formula say? So our formula says so it says y is equal to, okay? Y is equal to actually b plus ax, right? That's my formula. And I want to make this bold, Control B, and I want to make this larger just so you can see it. Is it large enough? Right, that's my formula. That is what I'm expecting for my formula name. So let's first look at this. Our adjusted R squared is actually 99.27, which makes it a good fit. This shows that the dependent variable is really explained by the independent variable. Okay, they basically they have a great relationship. They are depending. It's really depending. The dependent variable is really depending on the independent variable. All right. Right, so basically it's a good fit. That's for the R squared. The significant F, remember it is that test that we spoke about that is done. It's a probability that shows us how well we can rely on the given information on the model, how well we can rely on the model. And if this is less than 0.01, then it is very good. All right, remember, highly significant. And if it is more than 0.01 but less than 0.05, then it is still significant. But as moment it is more than 0.05, then it is not statistically significant. Okay, we cannot rely on the model. So in this situation, it is actually good. So we can go here and select that this is actually good. Where is my conditional whatnot? Let me go up. Yeah, this is what I was looking for. So if it is good, I want to select that this is actually very good. Same is this. This is good as well. Same as that. Are you for real? Are we gonna go up again? Sure. Good. All right. That is that. And then the two of them as well, if you look at the p-value of the intercept and the p-value of the output are also good because they are below 0.01. Okay, so we're also going to select them as being good. Right, awesome. Then I can write my formula. I want us to do this together. So my formula will then be y is equal to, it even comes, y is equal to, my b is my intercept. All right. My b is my intercept, and this is my intercept. If you can see in here, intercept there. This is my intercept. All right. Let me put a color to it so that we can see this properly. That's my intercept. So that will represent b. So it will be 2934.65. All right. This plus my coefficient of the output. See, there's the coefficient of the output. So this coefficient of the output is 94.83. Then we put an X there. So that is how our formula should look like. Okay, so let's make it visible. Okay, let's make it visible. Right, that's how my formula is looking like. Now, what did we use? We used the output and we used the total cost, right? So if you check this formula here, it should be the same as this formula here. Check this formula. The formula that we have inside, it says y is equal to 94831, all right, x. So they started with the x, they started with the coefficient first, and then they put the intercepts. Either way, it's still good. So if you check there, 94.83, here we also have 94.83x, same. If you check the intercept is 20,935, here we have 20,935.65, all right? It is exactly the same. So this is how we're able to prove our formula. Let me even come here and maybe make it red or something, and then come here as well, make this one also red, just for you to see it, that the formula is the same. Okay, so basically that's how it's done. This is how you do your regression. This is how you do your scatter plots. But now the question was you should do a multi-regression. All right, that is the one that you're supposed to do. Multi-regression with many independent variables. Okay, so I'm going to take that one to a next worksheet. But anyways, let's work on it. So to do a regression is the same thing that you did when you did a single regression. When you do a multiple regression, it's going to be the exact same step that you're going to take. Right, so you go to data, then we go to analysis, then we go down. It's already on regression. I select it. Okay. You see, it had information already. That is why it's coming out like that. Right. So I'm just going to change this part. Select this. I'm going to select this to change it. So I want number of employee, output, and direct, all three of them. You see, I select them all three of them, and I want this on a new sheet so it doesn't get too much here. And okay. All right, so it takes me to the sheet that I actually wanted. This is my information. Just trying to make sure my things are readable. Now, check what happens here. We have intercept and we have different independent variables. Let me put a color on this, my independent variables, for you to see. I've got three of them: number of employees, output, and direct labor hours. And these are their independent coefficients. Remember, we now become to have different coefficient: coefficient 1 x1, coefficient 2 x2. Remember that formula. That is where it comes in. All right. So again, the important things, let's first make sense of these things. Let's make sure we can be able to read them. This one is going to be a percentage, and I want it in decimal formats, in at least 2 decimal formats. The significant F, I want this as a number, so I'm just going to put a comma. All right, and then my p-values, all four of them, sorry, all four of my p-value, I also want it to be a number, so I'll put a comma to it. All right, so these are the ones that I'm paying attention to. The others I am not going to use. Coefficient also, I want it to be a number, a proper number. So I'm just going to go and put a comma. Right, so it is easy to use. Okay, so basically these are the items I'm using. My coefficient, let's put color to the important items. Coefficient, p-value, sorry. Right, then it's the significant F, the overall p-value of the model. Then it is my R squared adjusted. I use the adjusted, not the R squared. We're adjusting it so that it makes more sense in this graph. Right, so if I come here again, it's above 95, it is high. Therefore, this is a good fit. It shows how A and B are correlated, how my independent variable and dependent variable are correlated. All right, it is a good fit. So again, this is good. We can go there to our conditional what and make it good. Right, that one is fine. The significant F again is less than 0.01, which makes it highly significant. All right, we can highly rely on this model. We can rely on this information. So again, this is very good. So I will go back again to my condition, whatnot, and make this good. Right, then we begin to look at the individual p-values. We're going to look at the individual p-values. All right, the coefficient here is a negative. Also, it says a lot about this. It's being negative, that is not good. Let me go home. That is not good. So I'm going to go back to the conditions. So this is actually bad, that it gives a test result that is actually negative. So that's bad. Anyways, let's look at the p-value. P-value, this one is exactly 0.01. Okay, it's exactly 0.01. So it's still significant. It's less than 0.05. So this is good. This is good. Then this one, and another the one with the problem. This is above 0.05. So this is not statistically significant. We should not even include this in our data. It's not statistically significant. So this is bad. Right. Then these two are good. One is less than 0.01. The other one is still less than 0.05. So it's still significant. The other one is highly significant. The output one is highly significant. Then the labor, the direct labor hours is just normal significant. All right. So we're gonna go there and make this one good. All right. So basically, these are the ones that you would use to explain your data. And then you can write your formula using the coefficient in here. Using, if I have to write a formula in here, I'm going to say y is equal to, all right, my intercepts. I prefer to start with my intercepts. So it's going to be 16307.26, then plus, so this one is a minus. You can see this one's going to be minus. If I'm writing of all of them, it's going to be minus 209.29x, then plus 76.80x, then plus 3.89x. So what happens in this situation? When I'm then given the x values, when I'm given the x values, sorry guys, just press something. Okay, there. When I'm given the x values, I'm then able, I'm just gonna put them into the formula. Okay, I'll slot them into the formula where there's x. I put all the x's to give me the y, which is my dependent variable, my total cost. So what I'm trying to say is, if I was given a number, I was given maybe an out number of employee, I can put it there, and then I'm given output, then I'm given direct labor hours, I can put them there to multiply. So the number of employee will multiply the coefficient of employee, the number of output hours will multiply the coefficient of output, then the number of direct labor will multiply the coefficient of direct labor. All right, then it will give me my total cost. So that's what the formula is all about. That's what it does. Okay, so let's make it a little bit big so it is very much visible, my formula. Right, so now that I know that this is not good, right? This is not good. The number of employee does not make sense. They don't have any relationship whatsoever. It is not statistically significant. So I want to remove it out of my statistic. I want to remove it out of my model and redo the regression. All right, and I want to redo my regression in, just remember this, in A26. I don't know if it's gonna pick it up because we are using we say go to the next sheet. Okay, anyways, A26 is the preferred. So we go back to our data set. I want to redo this to remove, let me see, what are we removing? Number of employees, right? I want to remove number of employees out of my diagram. So I'm going to go back to data, click data, we click data analysis, regression. Okay, because we already started with it. The independent variable, the dependent variable is fine, but I'm going to change this one. I do not want to include this, so I want to include only these two. Right, as my x-axis, and it includes labels, and it must be, okay, if it's in the new worksheet, is probably open another one, or we can put it there, or it's still fine. As long as we can see our information, let's just go to a new sheet, it's fine. Let's open another one. So now you can see what happened here. There's only 3 items there. It is no longer 4 as it was before. It's no longer 4, it's now 3. Okay, so now let's see. The reason why we redid this mainly was because of the p-value. So let's see, is it improved? Has our p-value improved? Okay, let's go p-values. If you don't do what I'm doing now, you won't be able to read your numbers very well. So it has to be readable. Right, so this is what we have now. This is definitely good, but now this one is more than 0.05. However, it's still less than 0.10. All right, so we can still take it to the fact that it's still less than 0.10 to be significant. All right, yeah, we can still take it, unlike this one that was actually 0.10, and so it's already moving. So this one we can still take it and still say this is significant. All right, so this we can use this information. It's much more reliable than when we had actually included the number of employees. But anyways, let's check. So if we look at it very well from this graph, what it's telling us is that the total cost is more dependent on the output than the labor, either the number of employees or the direct labor hours. It is more dependent on the output from the result that we're getting in here. All right. So when you comment, you look at those things. When you comment, you look at your R squared results. Let me just make this a percentage. When you comment, you look at your R squared results, adjusted. This is the one you're looking at, the adjusted R squared. When you comment, you look at your significant F. That's that you look at the talk about the significant F, the overall p-value, and then you look at the individual p-values as well. You talk about them, how reliable they are, should we use these informations or not, things like that. All right, so that's what you do. That is how you comment on your regression line. So at the end of the day, this one will be our formula really that we're going to use. Right, a formula I think I've showed you already, and this is not going to be repetitive. You use that formula. Now if they give you data, you're just going to plot the data to say if it's an X, I'm just going to say coefficient what of output, maybe it's 76 and multiply by 100. So I'll just multiply by 100 and then plus the other one multiply by whatever. Just like that, you get a total cost. That's how you use the formula, and that's how you comment on it. Okay, guys, that is it, guys. That is it. That's all I wanted to share with us today. So we managed to cover dashboard and data analysis. But remember, this is not everything. This is a summary. It's a summary to try and facilitate you to study, because the information is a lot. It's too much to study on your own just like that. So it's a summary to facilitate you. This is just not everything. You have to sit down and practice as well. Especially pay attention to what the lecturer said you must pay attention to. The activities that the lecturer called out, those are the activities that you're going to pay attention to so that you do well for your exam. Okay, guys, do you have any question? I know we did a lot. I know it's still loading. I know it's loading, but yeah, do you have any question? And please don't hesitate to ask question even after today, ne? You can ask me questions while you're studying on the WhatsApp group and stuff. I would advise that you write me on WhatsApp, because if you call, I'm not very good with calls. I'm not very good with calls. Just WhatsApp me. I will answer you. Ne? Right. Any question, guys? Okay, it's been a while. It's been a long class. So all the best, guys. Go and rest. And once you get your rest, make sure you are studying. Make sure you study, guys. It is your chance. You have now until Thursday to master everything. You have now until Thursday. If you have not been studying, to start studying. You have the revision. You have all the tools that you need right now. Now it's really up to you, guys. It's really up to you. Put in your best, give it your best, and all the best for Thursday. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining. I'll see you guys. I don't know when again, because this is our last. I'll see you guys. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye.
Bye.